Your discipline builds your future. Welcome to Clartify.
You don't quit because you lack discipline. You quit because you're exhausted. And exhaustion doesn't announce itself loudly. It disguises itself as laziness, as boredom, as "I'll do it tomorrow." Consistency doesn't break because you don't care. It breaks because your life is built to drain you. That's why motivation never survives more than a few weeks. Not because motivation is weak, but because exhaustion is patient. Most people think consistency fails suddenly. It doesn't. It leaks. A little less focus each day. A little more noise. A little more pressure. Until one day, effort feels heavier than it used to. And instead of asking, "What is draining me?" people ask, "What's wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong with you. You're overloaded. The modern world doesn't destroy discipline by force. It destroys it by friction. Constant decisions. Constant input. Constant stimulation. Your brain is tired long before you notice it. That's why consistency often collapses after 2 or 3 weeks. Not because the habit stopped working, but because your energy stopped supporting it. Every decision costs something, even small ones. What to watch, what to reply to, what to ignore, what to resist. By the end of the day, control is expensive. And when control becomes expensive, the brain chooses shortcuts. Scrolling isn't entertainment. It's surrender. Surrender to something that asks nothing from you. Most people don't burn out because they work too hard. They burn out because they never stop deciding. Decision fatigue is invisible, but it quietly kills consistency. You don't wake up one day and lose discipline. You wake up one day without the energy to maintain it. Strong people fail here too. Not because they're weak, but because strength without structure still leaks. They push. They force. They rely on willpower. And willpower always loses to exhaustion. That's why consistency feels impossible even when you understand everything. Understanding doesn't restore energy. Pushing harder doesn't remove friction. You don't need more discipline. You need fewer leaks. Most people keep adding habits, adding routines, adding rules. They never remove anything. They try to build consistency on top of chaos. That never works. Consistency isn't built by doing more. It's built by removing what drains you. Noise, unnecessary choices, access to distraction, social pressure you never agreed to. Every open loop steals energy. Every notification is a small tax. Individually, they feel harmless. Together, they drain you dry. That's why people feel tired even on days they do nothing. Mental clutter exhausts more than physical work. And exhaustion makes discipline feel unnatural. Not because discipline is wrong, but because your system is broken. People say they need rest. They don't. They need relief from overload. Rest doesn't fix chaos. It only pauses it. That's why weekends don't reset people anymore. They return just as tired, because nothing was removed. Consistency returns only when friction disappears, when life becomes simpler, quieter, predictable, not exciting, stable. And stability scares people, because chaos gives excuses. Stability exposes responsibility. When life is quiet, you can't blame noise. You can't blame distraction. You can't blame exhaustion. You're left with yourself. That's why people unconsciously recreate chaos. They say they want consistency, but they keep environments that destroy it. Phones always nearby. Notifications always on. Commitments everywhere. And then they wonder why discipline collapses. It's not collapsing, it's being suffocated. Consistency doesn't require intensity. It requires space. Space to think. Space to act. Space without interruption. That space must be protected. Not with motivation, with removal. Remove what steals attention. Remove what drains decisions. Remove what keeps you reactive. You don't need a perfect routine. You need fewer enemies. Once friction drops, something changes. You don't feel energized. You feel lighter. Effort stops feeling heroic. It feels normal. And that's when consistency finally sticks. Not because you became stronger, but because life stopped fighting you. If consistency feels impossible, stop asking how to push harder. Ask what to remove. Most people won't, because removal feels like loss. But what you lose is noise, and what you gain is control. If you leave this video thinking about motivation, nothing changes. If you leave thinking about simplification, consistency becomes possible. Most people will keep exhausting themselves. They always do. If you don't, this channel is for you. If this explained what you couldn't name, press like. If you're ready to protect your energy, subscribe. And comment, I remove friction. Most people will never change. Not because they can't, but because they won't. And the most dangerous part is this: they don't even realize they made that choice. Change is not blocked by ignorance. It's blocked by comfort that feels reasonable. People think change fails because it's hard. That's a lie. Change fails because staying the same feels safer. Average is not an accident. It's a lifestyle people defend quietly. Average doesn't demand discipline. It doesn't demand courage. It doesn't demand accountability. It lets you blend in. It lets you explain your life without tension. And most people choose that without ever saying it out loud. They tell themselves stories. I'm doing my best. Now is not the right time. I just need more motivation. Those sentences sound harmless. They are contracts. Contracts with comfort. People don't resist change because they hate growth. They resist it because growth removes excuses. Growth makes everything your responsibility. Your time, your focus, your results. And responsibility is heavy. That's why people prefer complexity. Complexity gives cover. It gives explanations. It gives delay. Simple lives expose truth. If your life is simple and quiet, there's nowhere to hide. That terrifies people. So they stay busy, distracted, overstimulated. Not because they love chaos, but because chaos protects identity. As long as life is noisy, you can blame noise. As long as life is crowded, you can blame pressure. As long as life is complicated, you don't have to look at yourself. Most people don't fail. They avoid clarity. Clarity removes comfort. It asks one brutal question: why aren't you doing what you already know matters? And most people don't want to answer that. They want inspiration. They want motivation. They want techniques. Because techniques don't demand a decision. Change does. At some point, everyone reaches a line. On one side, staying familiar. On the other, becoming responsible. There is no middle. You either continue explaining your life, or you start owning it. And owning it means something uncomfortable. You stop waiting. You stop negotiating. You stop asking how to feel ready. Because readiness is a myth, comfort invented. Nobody ever feels ready to become accountable. They decide. Most people won't. Not because they're weak, but because they like their reasons more than their results. Reasons protect ego. Results expose it. That's why people defend their limitations. They call it realism. They call it balance. They call it self-acceptance. But deep down, they know. They know what they're avoiding. Change doesn't require talent. It requires honesty. Honesty about time wasted, about choices avoided, about comfort protected. And honesty hurts. That's why people stay average on purpose. Not consciously, but consistently. They choose the path with the least internal conflict, and that path never leads to transformation. If you're still watching this video, you're already different. Not better. Different. Because most people would have left the moment this became uncomfortable. This channel was never meant for everyone. It was meant for the few who are tired of explaining their life and ready to take responsibility for it. You don't need another video after this. You need a decision, not a dramatic one, a quiet one. A decision to stop hiding behind comfort. A decision to stop waiting for permission. A decision to accept that your life is exactly what your choices built. And it will only change when your choices do. Most people will close this video and return to familiar patterns. They always do. If you don't, welcome. If this series confronted you, press like. If you're done living on explanations, subscribe. And comment, I choose responsibility.
Thank you for watching. If you're ready to upgrade your mind and build unshakable discipline, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. More powerful lessons are coming. Stay disciplined. Stay clarify.